Welcome to Connecting Clarkston. This is season 3, episode 9, and we are being graced by 2 wonderful local Clarkston artists. In the background, you're hearing Bill Arnold play. This is pretty amazing. It's not an echo you hear from our theme music. It's the original, the OG, My Town by Bill Arnold and 1 Ton Trolly. We can just turn it down for a second. Drop.
2 birds singing in trees in 2 different yards. 5 empty bottles in the grass next to the car. Piles of cigarette butts and old candy wrappers. Months of papers in the gutter that were never delivered. This is still my town. My town. Seems the names are the same on that old water tower. Jersey numbers to match as far as I can remember. Those Friday nights were made for those of us who would scatter. Leave the others to the cheers we attended what mattered. In our hometown, our town, this will always be my town. This will always be my ground. I've been around the world, I've pulled my stakes, and I've put them down. Wherever I call home, it ain't nothing like my town. There's the latest Zeus draped in varsity letters. Drink it all in now, it may never get better. Once you've been to the top, nothing down below matters. We can drown all our failures in bourbon and bitters. In our hometown, our town, this will always be my town. This will always be my ground. I've been around the world, I've pulled my stakes, and I put them down. Wherever I call home, it ain't nothing like my town.
So I'm just thinking about how you came on the podcast with us when we were filming at the house on Holcomb.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And Ilze came.
Yeah.
And yes, and we saw Bill in the Honeycomb, the basement
Yes.
of Essence on Main.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, the song is amazing. Can we have your song for our podcast? And you said yes. And then you agreed to come on our podcast and play with my cell phone filming you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
epic.
we've come full circle.
You've heard my whole catalog.
Now
One song.
Not true. Way much more to that catalog.
I mean, I know you didn't make that song for our podcast, but it does feel like maybe you did. In the back of your head, it was always meant to be, connecting Clarkston. But I know it's for anybody's hometown, and I mean, it's like a fan favorite every show. I'm imagining. Is that true?
Yeah, I would, probably one of the ones that people maybe start to recognize. It probably has nothing to do with the fact that we're completely pushing it constantly. I think I had somebody say, about seen a lot of this stuff, that song on there. I'm going to have to block you. Well, I think they were joking, but then I'm thinking there's probably somebody out there ready to block me right about now. That's
Oh,
okay.
not true.
We love it.
It just speaks to the
It
local.
speaks to a lot of people, So if you haven't heard Bill live, well, you did just now, but you can also hear him live coming up at the second annual Buskfest. So we have Ilze Lucero here as well, and we're going to talk all about this really cool, it's not a festival necessarily, but I know it's a Buskfest.
Yeah.
But is it in the festival genre? Like, are we calling it a festival? How do we talk about it?
I think it's where we're trying to support like local musicians and like integrate it in like an everyday kind of life. So we're trying not to disrupt and like shut down anything. It is going to be 3 Tuesdays, for second Tuesday of every month. June, July, August. Last year was just 1 day. This year it's 3 dates, and we have it from 6 to 9. And I think some restaurants might have few things that they can, you can grab and go and enjoy musicians throughout the whole Main Street.
I know last year, Carol Eberhardt, right?
Yeah.
And Brandon Still came on a live podcast with us at the Wood Shop. And I think part of the hope was that the social district, right, where you can grab a cocktail and walk around in that area. And I think, if there's some opportunity to just grab food and kind of eat outside, that sounds like a really fun event for our community.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know what it is, can you kind of give us an overview, bird's eye view of what it is?
I keep hearing, what exactly is busking? Well, now, basically, there's the dictionary definition of busking. A busker is a person who entertains in a public place for donations. You'd think I could remember that. Bottom line is, busking is not something that should detract from what's going on in an urban setting. It's part of the fabric of a community, of an urban setting. We're used to seeing it in cities. If you're in New York and you're down in the subway, there's people playing music. They're busking. They've got their guitar case open. They want you to throw money in there. If you're down on Lower Broadway in Nashville, I don't know, they might have wiped all those guys out of there now that they've turned it into what it is now. But most cities you go into, you'll see people out on the corner playing their guitar, and you think, well, this guy just probably pulled up and set up and did that. Most places you got to get a permit to do it, because the municipal government's got to dip their beak in a little bit too. But it really kind of, this goes back to ancient Rome, when
I was going to ask if it had German roots, but it's
probably goes back to ancient Rome, where the artisans would be out on the street plying their craft for money to get food. And if there was nowhere for them to play with, even to this day, I mean, you can go and you can see people busking that play shows. And then there are some places that have more organized events like this. I think in Alpena they call it the Alpena Street Fest or something like that. But the key is not to disrupt the commerce of the town, but to bolster it. So the neat thing about this is it's on a Tuesday night. There's not much going on a Tuesday night.
So that's intentional.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't want to call it apprehension, but last year it was like, let's see how this comes out a little bit. When Brandon brought it, Brandon Still, who's my co-creator and co-host in Echoes in the Iron, when he brought it up to me, he said, hey, I talked to Carol at Clarkston Arts about doing this Buskfest. You want to help me hash out what this would look like? So we sat down in an afternoon and kind of mapped it out. We already had a short list of people that we thought would be very fitting as performers with the emphasis on local.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. And we did the thing without really pushing any of the local businesses to have any involvement at all. So it almost felt like on the night that it went down that maybe they kind of forgotten about it even.
And then people just showed up.
Yeah, and I was taking notes like, wow, they could have put like an outdoor bar here
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you know, kept their traffic flow down and been able to sling those drinks.
Yeah.
And it was pretty overwhelming in a good way to see how many people were
Lots of
walking up and
interest.
down Main Street.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was very big.
Yeah.
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 And
For an inaugural one,
Yeah.
yeah.
and so that was, I mean, you know how mission creep can be, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
there was some discussion of shutting the streets down, getting food trucks, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is going to be the opposite, I think, of what you
Yeah.
want to do. If you want to become part of the fabric of a community, don't be the scissors cutting it in half and cutting out all of these businesses. For it to work, you
Yeah.
want the Fed and the wood shop and Honcho and the Union and now Rudy's
Yeah.
to be slinging drinks and Shaded Bloom to be serving up coffee and everything else in between. People
Yeah.
sitting out on the patio at Honcho like they were last year.
Yeah.
And I think
Gosh,
somebody
that's prime seating.
yeah,
for
well,
this.
somebody even I had to ask them, hey, can you shut off the house music? We're here to watch to listen to the music, and they were like, oh, yeah, I guess we hadn't considered that.
That's so
So
funny.
I think there's going to be a little more awareness of what's
Yeah.
going
So
on.
with the
this year.
last year, you had, I don't know how many musicians you had set up that
Was
night.
it 9?
Oh, wow.
It was more. I mean, we have maybe it was quite a few. We had more locations last
Yes.
year, and that's one of the things that you know, Brandon and I walked around, and I know you guys were walking around checking out the whole thing. Like, how could this be improved? And I felt like I feel like 6 locations is just right.
Yeah.
Staggered, like, you know, so you've got 2 here, 1 here, and then 2 here, 1 there.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on at 3 different spots. But in an hour, it's going to be at 3 different spots, kind of, you know,
Okay.
and across the street. And just because of the way some of the foot traffic patterns were last year, there were some people set up in the Washington Street parking lot, but then somebody right across the street next to the Candle Bar in that little parking lot, and then somebody right across the street in, you know, at 2 Brunch South. And I was thinking, that's just a little congested. And now with what they've decided to do to us with I-75 closures and all the traffic that's going through town, I'm like, I think we should consolidate this and keep people from having to wait for that walk signal as
Yeah.
much as
Okay.
possible.
So where are these locations this year? Where will they be?
Well,
You know?
I think
So we have one by the Quest, Health
Yeah.
Quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's going to be one where the prime location's like right by the Fed on the steps, so like
That
former
is
old
the
post
prime.
office bit. And then across the street, I think we're doing it as well, right? For the alternate, once it's like
Yeah.
switching out by the gray building that currently is becoming something else. And I think we are having something by the Candle Bar.
either by the Candle Bar and I
and
think
then by
possibly also
Conservatory, right?
Yeah.
Is that the other one?
and then I think also at right by 2 South also.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 spots on that side, 3 spots on
Yeah.
the west side.
So and they're alternating. So
Yeah.
it's a 3-hour thing. So there's kind of like pockets. So all spots are not playing all at the same time. So it's kind of like scattered out.
So you can be here and only hear this musician.
Each
Right.
location will have 2 performers
Oh,
separated by an hour. So if this spot at wherever it might be by the Candle Bar in that little parking lot there, if there's somebody there at 6 o'clock, there's going to be somebody there at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
And you know, that way there's not a lot of the overflow, and it gives people a chance to walk around a little bit. And
What are the hours of it again?
6 to 9.
6 to 9.
So are these individual artists, or are there a couple of duets or anything
There's
like
going
that?
to be a couple of, I think there'll be a couple duets this year. I think in one case there's a trio, the Kate High Note Trio.
Okay.
They signed on a little, just most recently, I think. Most are going to be solo.
Yeah. Okay.
We have over 20 artists, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I think I've got a list of them. And again, let's see, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
How did you get these? How do you pick the artists?
Well,
Partially, it's local.
Okay.
We definitely want to support our local artists. And with Bill and Brandon being involved in Wiltse's before, they already have the network of people who have played. So they were gracious to dip into that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
we really wanted to focus on local as much as possible. Just like go in there and get a local taco from Honcho or get a local drink from the wood shop or whatever.
Yeah.
We're trying to promote local as much as possible, but some of the folks that are going to perform have performed a lot in Clarkston.
Yeah.
Can you give us some names?
Yeah, I
can
can
you
give you
sneak it?
lots of names.
Let's
So,
hear it.
you know, of the Clarkston contingent,
Yeah,
I guess we
yes,
can
yes, please.
Sam Van Wagner, we're glad to
Okay.
have him this
Yeah.
year. I guess you could say Taylor DeRoos is Clarkston, Waterford. Matt Meehan, my neighbor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's playing this year, so he didn't get a chance to last year. I'm playing. I live in town. Bob Andrus.
Okay.
So he lives out in the outskirts of, out off of Dixie. Let's see, who else have we got? I'm not sure if Joel Raymond is a Clarkston guy or not, but
He's played there.
but yeah, but he's definitely played.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of played her, and then some like other local ones. Robert Lewis, Steve Taylor. He's a music teacher at Everest, but he also performs all over the place. A lot of these folks perform downstairs at the Gold Bar at the Fed a lot. So let's see, who else have we got in there? Mike Ward has performed a lot in Clarkston. He's fantastic. Reggie Harrison, she played in front of the Kinder Music spot there at the conservatory last year. She's originally a Lake Orion person, now by Rochester. John Byrell actually lives out in Milford, but he's done a lot with us in organizing. He was Santa at the Holly Trolley Christmas show. Matt Bastardson, he is actually in Pontiac, but he's performed up here a lot. He was one of the initial ones performing at Wiltse's a lot at 21 North.
I think you went.
I think I
When
went to
those
that.
shows
Yeah.
were
So
there.
good,
I think I mentioned Joel Raymond, my buddy Frank Grimaldi from the band Slowfoot. He played in front of the bike shop last year. Billy Brandt has played a lot of Wiltse shows, and so he's going to be there. I don't know if he's coming by himself or if he's going to bring Elaine or maybe, who knows. Elise Kaczynski, she's a new one, but she's been very supportive of the music scene. So we're anxious to see what she brings.
So
And then the Kate High Note Trio.
if you've got 6 going at a time, no, you've got 3 going at
Three
a time.
at a time,
Three.
yeah.
So 3, 6, 9 a night, right?
So how we set it up this year, last year was a lot more confusing because we had this basket of bodies to put places, and we weren't sure, what people's availability is. So this year we got a little production minded, and we're like, why would we not use Sign Up Genius?
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Very high
we,
tech.
yeah,
Very,
we had-
very progressive.
Yeah, we had the 3 dates and the 3 time slots. So we basically said, pick one, no more than 2, but give us your priority depending upon demand for slots.
Yeah.
Give us your number 1 and your number 2 date and time. So we did that, and it just
Filled in.
it
worked
just filled
out.
in.
I mean, it filled in
That's
so
amazing.
quickly. I think we're meeting with Brandon like every 2 weeks to kind of hash out who have we reached out to, where we promoted it, and then when we were coming down to artists, it seemed like it was the easiest thing. I know it's because it's built over the years with
Yeah.
connections, and it's like all this great community that sometimes I think we forget how locally
So are
we
the
have it.
bands and the times all set?
Yes.
Schedule set.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we have not, the times are set. What we have not done is publish the locations.
Okay.
So we think we're gonna get a little closer to do that.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Let
Call it
people
out.
let people
A
anticipate.
little promote,
yeah.
a little anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
We
good
just
idea.
throw a couple breadcrumbs out here and
right.
there and
Yeah.
get everyone to follow along.
But we do Brandon did all the like graphics, and we're trying to promote. Each artist has their own graphics, so they can promote to their community. So we're expecting like great turnout.
What's
Yeah.
the genre of music we're talking
Well,
about?
it's a little bit of, it's going to be sort of a little bit of everything. I would say mostly it's going to be singer-songwriter type
Yeah.
of stuff. So it's hard to really nail down a genre of that. Is
And
it
bluegrass,
folk? Is it
folk,
rock?
yeah.
Is it bluegrass?
Yeah.
There's going to be some trop rock kind of
Something
stuff.
for everyone.
Something
Yeah.
for
Yeah, there's going to be
everyone.
something for everyone,
Yeah.
and just when you think you don't like it, there's any one of their local watering holes to give you some inspiration to
That's
like it more.
right.
So if you visit there first before
You're
you
gonna
come
like
out and
it
listen to
all.
music,
I
you're gonna love it
recommend it.
all.
Live
Yeah.
music, I feel like even if it's not your top pick, you just
Yeah.
gotta watch
No,
the,
that's so
you know,
fun.
music happening. It's like speaks to your soul.
It's such a different vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the artists able to put like a Venmo thing? I know
Yes.
cash isn't really the thing anymore. How
Well,
does that
cash
work?
was pretty king
Was
last
it?
year. If I'm,
Yeah.
Was it really?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, probably my fondest memory from last year, aside from just seeing so many people there and so many people I knew, you can't put 3 kids through Clarkston schools without, and sports and
Yeah.
and dance and theater without,
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
to know a lot of people,
Yeah.
you're part of the
Yeah.
community. So that was amazing. But seeing little Ellie Chamberlain up there on those steps, and I think every member of her family was out there. Maybe brother Robbie wasn't there; he probably working, but everybody was there. and her 2 little nephews had the little matching outfits on, and I saw her grandpa call them over there, and I'm like, here it comes. And he reaches, gives them one of them a bill, points over the tip bucket, and the little guy runs over there. Those little guys got a workout because they were back and forth. They were like tip Sherpas. And so once people saw this, they were like, hey, little dudes, come over here. And they're dropping 20s and 5s, and
Awesome.
I kind of figure I know where the 100s came from in her bucket. But as soon as she was done, I went and grabbed that bucket and took it up to the top of the steps, and I'm like, you're gonna want to put this one somewhere safe or give it to your mom and dad or something, because there's a lot of money
Yours
in
did
there.
really well.
Well, she was the winner.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandpa.
I didn't have any grandparents there
Sherpas.
or any
Oh,
tip
man.
Sherpa nephews. They were
should
amazing. They
bring
were so
them.
cute. It was awesome
I
to
think
watch.
that, we're keeping it open to the artists that they can do their promotional stuff.
Many people
with them,
will
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, typically what we recommend everybody do. We talked about having a universal one, but some people like to have their own little flair on their
Yeah.
tip
Yeah.
bucket.
Yeah.
But most people, everybody that we have is regular performers.
Okay.
So they all have Venmo and PayPal, and they all have their little
Guitar case.
QR codes.
Yeah.
And they have their guitar case, or they have a bucket, or some people have all kinds of different little
Yeah. Oh,
cute
that's
little
good.
things that they
Okay.
come up with for their tip bucket. Mine is an old Costco cheese ball plastic bucket that I just
Love it.
taped on,
Yeah.
my QR code on
Yeah.
there.
You can
Or
put like a
guitar
dollar.
case.
Now I know there's the old guitar
Or your
case would
guitar
work
case.
too, but I had a gig bag, so that didn't work out so good.
Yeah.
Like a guitar
Yeah.
case looks kind of cool. You open it up and people throw the money in there, but then it can also blow away.
True.
So,
Yeah.
but that's really the spirit of busking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
donations.
Got it. Yeah.
So we like to say it's free, but if you like to support the artists,
Yeah.
throw a-
Fantastic.
you know,
Yeah.
throw
So-
something in there, whatever you're
So
comfortable.
can you
with.
tell us again the days and times?
So we have June 10th July 8th and August 12th.
Good
So
memory.
it's a second Tuesday of every summer month. We're hoping that it doesn't get rain out, but
Good weather.
right, like fingers crossed, good weather. But yeah, those are the dates that we're like.
So we've added the information in the Connecting Clarkston app. I know it'll be shared out all over the place. You'll see lots of it everywhere.
People are going to
as
be
we get closer.
seeing this graphic quite a bit. You know,
Yeah.
one of the great things about Brandon, and I mean, he doesn't, let any moss grow on his behind. He is, know, everybody here knows Brandon.
He's a community organizer.
He is.
Yeah.
And I mean, last year I remember him saying, "Well, do you think so and so would do this?" And I'm like, "I'm sure he would." And like 20 seconds later, I get like this graphics brand collection of stuff. We'll send him this and see if this puts him over the edge. It's got his face on there, like, with the background removed on this graphic. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Did you just make these?
Wow.
He goes, well, I kind of preemptively made them, but I just put this guy's picture on there. I'm like, well, I think he'll do it.
Yeah.
So I sent it to him. They're like, I'm in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. And everybody received the same thing. One of the difficult things is logistics of doing something where you have 27 performers, even doubled up, or whatever, either way, is having a cohesiveness of marketing
Yeah.
products. So we wanted to make sure, if we're going to be artists about it, that it looks proper and it looks professional, and not leave it up to everybody in their own, some people are going to do it out of crayons and take a picture of it and post it. Some people won't do anything with that. But if we gave them, a Facebook cover, an Instagram size, and a Facebook post size with all their information on it, and they'd be set to go.
Yeah.
And that way they would all look the same. So when people started seeing those colors on their social media, they're just trying to make sure everybody's still awake. And everybody would recognize that same theme and know what it was all about.
So who made that up? Brandon himself?
Brandon
Oh,
did,
he did that.
He's
Okay.
he did a great graphic from last year, and we kind of
Stuck with
to that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like path to least resistance. When you provide them, you give them the tools to be able to promote it and to bring in the people that
You want
really
the
helps.
consistency.
Yeah.
It really helps. It really helps if you've got, technically it's not 27 people, but because
27 spots.
But if you got 27 spots that are out there promoting this thing to their people, people are going to come, and like I keep saying, this event, this Clarkston Buskfest, is a win-win-win. The big beneficiaries of it really are the local businesses. Everybody up and down Main Street that is going to be operating is going to have a good night. The weather is great. It's going to be good for them on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It's a win for the residents and the
community,
visitors, the community, because I saw people just hanging out, reconnecting, hugging, hadn't seen each other in a few years, I saw people that I hadn't seen in 6 years since my daughter graduated, or 3 years since my son graduated, and that was really pretty cool.
Yeah.
You get that at Taste of Clarkston, and you even get that at concerts in the park, but it's much less of a social event. Concerts in the park, because everybody's sitting and they're apart from each other and being quiet or whatever. And then what Taste of Clarkston is like. It's just a big thing.
Yeah.
And so this was really much more of a social event than I think people might have anticipated. We kind of figured what it was going to be like, but we didn't know it would be as successful as it really was.
And there's no seats, you're just walking
No,
and
you're
listening.
just walking.
But if you want to bring, we would recommend,
I think so.
bring chairs.
To South Branch House, they're leaving their seating out. So, and I think there might be a few chairs here and there, especially for somebody who may not be able to stand for longer periods of time. But majority, I feel like it's encouraged for people to more mill around and kind of enjoy the whole atmosphere.
But having said that, if it wouldn't be a big deal if somebody had a wagon with a couple of folding chairs. If they want to sit down and watch somebody's whole performance,
Yeah.
they don't want to stand there on concrete
Yeah.
all the time, I would get that. Or pack
Yeah.
it up and roll on to the next one.
Yeah, okay.
You're never going to be in one spot for more than an hour,
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless you're going to save that front row seat for when I play.
course,
You'll
of
wait that
course.
2 hours. Maybe you'll be there the night before.
The
I don't know.
grand star.
But I do think it's like a really cool thing to bring
Yeah.
to our community. And so I hope that it just continues to grow and evolve and just be awesome. Not to switch topics, but I want to just for 1 second. You had mentioned your Echoes in the Iron with Brandon.
Yeah.
Can you give us just a little, I don't know, summary, synopsis of what that is?
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. So I mean, it was March of '24. It was right around the time. I think Carol brought this up a little bit after that.
Yeah.
But we had started meeting to talk about things that could happen in the music scene, and coupled with the revitalization of small towns throughout the Rust Belt, and how, our theory and what we've witnessed is how a music program in small communities can draw the community together. And so we created Echoes in the Iron, which is basically a multimedia project that seeks to bolster and champion small towns through music and storytelling and entrepreneurship, where we encourage, you take a place like 20 Front Street in Lake Orion. They took an old building and they made it into a world-class listening room.
Yeah.
Or you take the Lark Theater up in Sheboygan, Michigan. 10 years ago, that town had nothing going on. Now it's a vibrant music scene. We were shooting, we're actually now entering into post-production on our pilot episode called The Venue, because Echoes in the Iron is also a docu-series that is going to go and showcase these places where this has happened, and also showcase places where it's happening or about to happen, and how it builds up the local artists. But the Lark Theater in Sheboygan, the John and Marcella Costin took a whole chunk of a main street there and built out a ladies' boutique, men's Stormy Cromer shop with Michigan beer on tap. There's a little pub in there. There's a restaurant in there, and then nestled in the middle is the crown jewel, the Lark Theater, which is also a world-class listening room. So, but now when you go to Sheboygan, you walk up and down the streets, there's live music at 6 places.
Wow.
Within a few blocks of each other. And it's quite the community there.
Yeah.
So we're talking to places really all across the Rust Belt, Midwest, predominantly at this point in time, about helping them with the music program there. So we're also a consultancy.
Okay.
With Brandon's experience with dealing with Main Street associations and economic development corporations and downtown development authorities and chambers of commerce and all that kind of stuff. He's got that experience from his co-working space development. I've got more experience as a performing musician, and we find an area, a town. Maybe some of them have reached out to us. Some of them have been ones that we want a project, and we're
Pursuing.
we're working with them,
Yeah.
whether they're using us as a consultancy or we're doing there. One of the things we like to do with these little coffee shop pop-ups, little pop-up videos of performers. That's one of the things that's what we did last week. We shot the video from my town upstairs at the wood shop in the morning where the
Nice.
light is glorious.
Divine.
And it is divine. And it's the best place.
Yeah.
And
The lighting upstairs at the wood shop is amazing.
For
That
this
corner.
kind of music,
Like it comes in through the window is amazing.
Oh yeah. If you check out the Echoes in the Iron YouTube channel, you will see that latest video, My
I
Town.
did watch the video,
Yeah.
and the video was great. I'm just shocked that the lighting is so amazing.
The lighting is amazing.
it depends for what you're looking for,
Okay.
because this is the smoothie. This is very much on brand, right?
Okay.
It's like the rustic, where like Echoes and Irons really promoting
Yes.
the small towns.
I can
We're
the
looking
Rust
for that
Belt,
sort of
yeah, like,
cinematic
It's
kind of
not
thing.
the
Yeah.
clean. It's
Yes.
not the clean light. Not like the big city clean big offices. This is more like promoting small towns
Yes.
that you may not necessarily think of it that way.
And do you guys have a podcast today? Is there
We
talk
are
of you
working on a
launching?
podcast
Okay.
right now that's gonna. We have a thing, and that reminds me, we're nearing the end of the month. I owe 4 songs to Brandon for this. So we do the Echoes in the Iron monthly listens picks, where Brandon picks 4 songs and I pick 4 songs, and then we make a Spotify playlist of that, and trying to turn people on to music that's, that
Supports
is turning.
local.
Yeah, we try to support local quite a bit, but a lot of times it's not local. It's guys out and gals out there slogging the trenches of little music clubs and listening rooms all over the place in a Subaru or a old beat up pickup truck or whatever it is they're doing to get around, and we're trying to promote their music, because there is so much great music and out there that if you just listen to terrestrial radio, you're never going to discover it.
Yeah.
So if you it certainly has its detractors. I think it's a great tool, but something like a Spotify or even an Apple Music. Let's say you just I'll be listening to some sort of a playlist or whatever, or maybe a band I like, and you listen to the whole record, and then it starts playing like artists or whatever. I've discovered more of my favorite artists that way than any other way.
Yeah.
So, it's a good way to do it on your own. But if you,
We're
wanna,
going see them live
but if
locally.
and then maybe when that person comes around, they might be from Florida or Tennessee or Kentucky or Iowa, who knows where they're from. When they come around to play at 20 Front Street, you might recognize that name and go and see them.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to find out more about that and or just listen to what you've already done, but then maybe they have something to promote and or be part of your docuseries, how do they get in touch with Echoes in the Iron?
Well, I would say go to echoesinttheiron.com.
Okay.
Also, or email us at echoes@integratedlifeco.com. And or Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger at Echoes in the Iron. What we're really trying to do is bolster our YouTube presence right now, because in anticipation of the pilot coming out, the pilot episode, but we're building content all the time. It's not just the pilot that's on there, so we're out gathering content like that, or we'll go to a little coffee shop somewhere and meet somebody and have them play a song. And it's just raw, unfiltered. You're gonna get this right up close and personal. That's kind of the style we go for. And these, some of these little coffee shop things, this is just me and Brandon going and doing that. When we go do our full production, we bring our ringer, Wes Brown, our videographer, who's just, he's got an amazing eye and knows all the tricks and knows how to do the stuff. And is and also has a very majestic beard. It's the only man I've got beard envy on.
The
I'm
beard
telling you, I
envy
don't
is strong.
understand
Oh
it.
my gosh.
But please check us out on our YouTube channel and subscribe if you don't mind. We're gonna have a lot of great content coming out in addition to the docuseries.
Very cool. And so for Clarkston Arts, you guys have some other stuff going on as well. I know you're supporting this Buskfest, but isn't there a scholarship coming up
We
too?
are, I think we're in final selections as far as for scholarship, and this is for kids going into education that's related to art. So we have a scholarship for graduating seniors, and then we also have a couple of scholarships for I think 6th through 12th grade, and this is for summer camps, and this is not just visual art, it's music, theater, anything related to like creative living. And so the submissions have been closed, but there are the final selections, and will be announced like.
And this happens every year, right?
This happens every year. It is Erin Mendrazinski's scholarship. She was a huge advocate for kids having these opportunities, for having your local children actually wanting to go into arts, because we're going. You have so many kids going into like all the professional things, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, there's also so much opportunity to create beauty through music, to create theater, dance, whatever it is, and express yourself and bring joy to community that way. And we really, like, that's the goal for Clarkston Arts, is to support those creative endeavors.
Nice.
So Ilze had joined us on our podcast like
Yes.
a year ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were really excited to talk about was the fact that she has greeting cards in Target. So when you're talking about, going into the arts and these creative things, you're such a good example of that. And I feel like Ilze's all over the community.
Thank you.
Photography, just a lot of different passions, one of which is reading.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you may run into Ilze at Inscribe Books. She's in almost all of their book clubs.
Not in almost all of them, but I do support Inscribe Books a lot. I love having another thing, a local bookshop, supporting like your independent bookstores. The community that bookstore has created, and my kids have grown up in Clarkston, and now that I'm an empty nester, I refound my love to books back. So I'm an avid reader. I also listen to a lot of audiobooks, and that's
How many books? Tell us, how many books have you read this year?
We are at the end of May.
End of May, 135 so far.
Amazing.
But that's like a lot of audiobooks as well. I really love reading. I read pretty broad genres, but a lot of like fantasy, romance, historic fiction, some mystery. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just
a lot.
That's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books. I know. Maybe like a few weeks ago, I saw somebody asked a question in one of the Clarkston Facebook groups, maybe like Everything Clarkston or something, and said, "Does anybody know where I can find a good book club?" And the like bazillion people that responded back, Inscribe Books. So yeah, if you are looking for a book club, they have something for everyone. Just a lot of options.
There are 13 book clubs, and several book clubs actually have 2 dates because they just fill up so quickly. There's a book club coming up tonight, actually, on 15th Street Tavern. There are a couple of book clubs that meet at the restaurant, and we're trying to support the local businesses. So either we have supported 5th Street Tavern and 15th Street, which is like on the way to Wardenville. And then a lot of book clubs happen actually at the bookstore. So yeah, you got to check them out. And I met you guys really at the book club.
Yeah. Because Joanne and Jana came on, or Joanne did. And so Ann and I were like, oh, we'll have a book club. And we were planning on just doing one. Yeah. And so somehow Ann, I think, did one and got out.
I did one
and I was like, oh, okay, we're done. And Ilze and Megan decided to keep it going. So now we have this co-hosting situation.
Which we really appreciate because Katie brings the best charcuterie boards.
I bring the snacks. It's a good time.
Snacks and drinks. Well, what I love about all the things we're talking about, it's so focused on our community. And I feel like you guys both we see you guys a lot all over the place, and the community, or promoting everybody within, and bringing people in within the periphery, but it's all about like building up our community. And I think it's just so, I don't know, it's energizing, and it's really cool, and it's inspiring.
Well, we just decided to stay here.
So you're gonna make it happy. You're gonna make it your happy place, right?
Yeah, we're on a third house in Clarkston, so in your old neighborhood now.
I know.
So you got to make your community what you want it to be. Community means you have to kind of get off your rear and go out and do some stuff and meet people, and
And
Well,
once you meet the
yeah.
people you like, you just keep
Yeah.
running
Keep
with
doing
it,
it.
right?
Yeah, you know, and that's, you know, it's, if you think on like how, like music, how that would work with music. I didn't know who Brandon Still was. Today, I'd maybe know who he is just from his community involvement, if not for him having the Wiltzies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
concert series. But when I found out that there was a show at Wiltzies, I'm like, where's Wiltzies? I don't know where that is. I'm Googling Wiltzies.
We
There's
had
no
the same
Wiltzies. What is
experience.
going on
Yeah.
here? And, you know, and I'm like, all right, where is this building? I'm like, that's the old, what is that place?
Antique
That's the old
shop.
antique shop that you couldn't
Yeah.
walk through when we moved into town. So, you know, I went there and I remember I saw my friends in Voxana playing there. My friend Mike Ward, so Billy Branson, Voxana, he's going to be at Buskfest. Mike Ward's going to be at Buskfest. And I'm like, how did you guys get this show, this gig here? Well, through Wiltzies. That's the guy. That's Brandon Still.
Yeah.
So if not for him doing that, I'd have probably never met him because he's got little guys and mine were, you know, I'm an empty nester. So, you know, that's the power of drawing people together. If
Yeah.
not
Of
for
connecting.
that,
Yeah.
I
The power
probably
of
wouldn't be.
connecting.
Now I'm a member of the Chamber of
Yeah, look at
Commerce
you.
and everything else. You know, so
Yeah.
it really does create community. It
Yeah,
does.
amazing.
You know, I'm in my chiropractor's office and some guy says, "Hey, Bill," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "We were at your Holly Trolley Christmas show," and I'm like, "No kidding," and you know, and I'm like, "Oh, no kidding." And so he was at the second one that we just had in December with his wife, and at the end we had pictures with Santa and the whole thing there. So at the end there was a few left over, and I'm like, "Oh, I recognize them." So I took it to my chiropractor, and I'm like, "Hey, make sure you give this." And it was kind of funny, but you know, yeah, it's a small town with a big heart and a lot of great people, and obviously
A lot of creatives.
a lot of
yeah.
creatives.
And people who are like willing to really do the things, because like Holly Trolley Christmas, I was not a photographer, but John Ransom from Winship, he took it upon himself and he did all the Santa photos. So I mean, there's like,
Which he had an amazing setup for that.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, I do
Yeah, he had a
remember
good
that.
setup for that.
Yes.
I mean, we at Clarkston Arts did so much to decorate for that thing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was awesome.
I mean, I just remember walking in, you know, at the Brady Lodge over there and just being kind of a little overwhelmed, and
we
I was
got
like, oh
Christmas
my God, I
trees,
can't
yeah.
believe they're doing
Yeah.
this is amazing. You know, you're a little,
Yeah.
you know, I'm humbled. You know, but there were live Christmas trees in there. There were lights everywhere, all kinds of stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is great. This is good
is.
stuff.
It's so great. Everyone like supporting, especially when you're saying creatives, giving space for these things to happen and for people to enjoy the music and the books and all that. So
Yeah.
thank
We
you
really
guys.
do have a great town, and
do.
you know, I remember many years ago, people, oh, you moved to Clarkston? Yeah, it's a real bedroom community. It doesn't have much of an identity. And I disagree with that. I really think, you know, I know that there's different factions that have been trying to get designations. Is it water city or is it a whatever? It's kind of a music city. If you think about it, we've got, I mean, literally a world-class concert venue, you know, less than 2 miles from my house
Absolutely.
at
Yeah.
Pine Knob. You've got the Concerts in the Park series. Taste of Clarkston always has live music at it. The Gold Bar at the Fed has got music all of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
and then Clarkston Arts is also supporting like Harmony in a Park, which is going to be in August. That's where we get all the youngsters, and you know, this is when we have musicians for kids come in, and it's like geared more towards like pre-K, like before you enter like school system for younger ones, but they make instruments, they have such a good time. So there's always something happening for any age group, really.
Our girls are in the orchestra.
Yeah.
The marching
talked about
band.
this, yeah.
Yes. So I think that's awesome.
Where's maybe you already said this, but the information for Clarkston Arts, where can it be found?
Clarkston Arts is clarkstonarts.org.
Okay.
So we do have the website. Also, most current everything is on Facebook. We try to keep up with our events and everything posted there. But yeah.
Oh, good.
And there
Looking
is
forward
an
to it.
actual Facebook page, Clarkston Buskfest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think, did you make oops, I keep
There
hitting
is
that.
an event. Yeah.
There's an event page, and then did Brandon say that you actually made a web page from the Clarkston Arts page? Is there a separate thing for that? I don't know.
I think
Most everything's on the Facebook.
it's on the
event.
Facebook page. Yeah. So we try
cool.
to
Just look for
post it.
Clarkston Buskfest.
All right.
Yes.
Would you be willing to play us out? Pick
Yeah.
a song, any song. And thank you both for coming and telling us all about this. We're very
you,
excited.
guys.
The first one I had to miss. I was out of town. I'm very excited for this
Well,
one.
I'll play the actual
So we've got
Echoes
3 of them.
Echoes
I
in the
know.
Iron
Yeah.
song.
I'm out of time for one of them, but
This is actually Brandon and I wrote this song. Brandon wrote the words. When we came up with this Echoes in the Iron thing, I'm like, we need a theme song. So like maybe a typical Brandon fashion, maybe like a day later, he goes, "What do you think of these lyrics? They're a little bit rough." I'm like, "What are you talking about? These are perfect." And I'm like, I messed with trying to come up with a song for the melody and the music for it, and I'm like, I've got this thing I've been working on for months that I couldn't come up with words for, so it was preordained.
Yes.
So Echoes in the Iron also has its own song, and we did go into the Temper Mill in Ferndale and record it, and it has been released. It's out there on all your streaming platforms, and it's called Echoes in the Iron, and it's Bill Arnold. I recorded on there, but anyways, Brandon was there for inspirational support and writing credit. Grain mill now sits empty where the train tracks used to lay. Bells once rang for miles in every small town church on Sunday. The workers packed their lunches, their Stanley bottles scoffed. Labored hard for all those hours just to save a couple bucks. The factory stands defiant, old silos battle time. Route 60 is compliant, new highways bend and wind, steel foundries like cathedrals, their spires scrape the sky. The windmills still watch over fields lost and long gone dry. Echoes in the iron, ghosts spinning the flames. Spirits are eternal, spirits still remain. See them down on Main Street, you can hear them call your name. Echoes in the iron, our history reclaim. We trace our roots back proudly to Jack Henry in the mine, or back to fearless Rosie beating Nazis from the line. All black and whites hang proudly, Grandpa's folded flag nearby. That copper country fire still brings a tear to our eye. Somewhere in the darkness, not all that long ago, someone lit a new flame. It slowly creeps and glows. Someone new lays down the metal, someone new lays down the rose. This country, it still needs them soon. Everyone will know. Echoes in the iron, ghosts spinning the flames. Spirits are eternal, spirits still remain. See them down on Main Street, you can hear them call your name. Echoes in the iron, our history reclaim. Echoes in the iron, ghosts painting the flame. flames. Spirits are eternal, spirits still remain. Seeing them down on Main Street, you can hear them call your name. Echoes in the eye, our history reclaimed.
This podcast is brought to you by Independence Television, located inside Clarkston High School. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Independence Television, Independence Township, or Clarkston Community Schools.